Hello and welcome to top 10 tips that I could come up with for the Atoraxxion Dungeon. Had loads of fun spending hours in the past week figuring out the mechanics that are implemented in pre-dungeon phase and during main dungeon phase fight. Also would like to mention that as you're watching this video, it's most likely already outdated because of the new patch, new mechanics, some guy already being 10 IQ higher than me. Take this video as just tips and tricks that hopefully will help you to achieve the endgame goal, which is defeat the last boss. Number 1. Turn up your effects opacity at least to 50 to 100. There are mechanics in this game that require you to see special effects on the map, especially in the main dungeon part at the end during stage 1, 2, and 3. Definitely turn that up to at least 50. Tip number 2. Buy food, elixirs, pots, repair gear before you enter the dungeon. And if you have a tent, don't forget to take silver with you because you cannot use maids. Tip number 3. You can lose crystals in the pre-main dungeon phase of Atoraxxion, so please be careful. During the main boss fight, at the very end, you cannot lose your crystal, so you can just die repeatedly over and over again. But maybe your party members will disagree on that one. Tip number 4. Each party member should buy a matchlock. It's not necessary, but it's a major help, especially for lower geared people. We'll explain in the next tip why. Tip number 5. Every elite has its own weakness. You can brute force, AP monkey through it, or figure out them yourself, which me and the boys did, which was really rewarding and awesome. So if you don't want to get spoiled and figure out them yourself, please skip to this time frame on the screen. Now, for those who do want to skip it, so let's begin with the bird, the Putrakium. This is where the matchlock will come in handy. If you're outside where the Putrakium birds can spawn, above where the cubes are, shoot them down before the main group spawns. Definitely will help with the CC, and they definitely can kill you, CC, and just gonna be pure annoyance. Now, when the elite spawns, avoid the damage as much as you can, obviously clearing the side mobs as you do. And then he has a stage where he spawns 4 extra birds above him. So people who do not have the elite aggro should go to the side, pull out the matchlock, and shoot them down. Once you are done with the 4 birds, or however many birds there are, the Putrakium will go into like limp mode, and you can easily kill him like 10 times faster. So now we go to a Rhino elite. This is a chunky boy, can actually deal a pretty hefty amount of damage. To defeat way more easy, just find on the ground like lava or crack in the ground that will emit gas. Lead the Rhino to that crack. It has a pretty wide range, so you don't have to like directly put him on top. And once the lava explodes or erupts, he will lose all the DP and flop on the ground, and you can finish him off easily. Now with Cetus, you have to wait until he stops doing the backflips for his YouTube montages and goes into his stage of Cetus seeks to recharge his blah blah blah. So then you must do float attacks, and multiple members has to do it. Sometimes it takes only one, but he can just ignore them sometimes. Just pull out your floats and start fishing. No, wait, that's not the right float. And then we move on to Lacreta. Has similar mechanic to the previous one. Wait till she spawns 4 ads. Do not attack them. Just wait until she goes to the next stage. Will be something like Lacreta seeks to bestow ancient blah 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 something. Then you must do knockdown attacks. And then she will trip, and then you gang up on her, and bam bam boom bam. And now we come to the chunky boy of the elites, the shield guy. This is the one that is going to probably lead to a lot of confusion. At least took me the longest. The only way so far that we figured out is the old party. Once he puts the shield down, the phase where he just blocks all the upcoming attacks from the front, you have to fast go to the back. And while he's pulsing the damage, which is a pretty amount of good damage, you just burst him down until he cannot take any more. And he goes into like less DP limp mode, and you can finish him off much easier. So but be careful, he does do a lot of damage. Tip number 6, although technically this is also an elite, but kind of like a boss, double axe guy in the next phase. He spawns after defeating 1 wave or 2 of the normal waves outside. Would recommend him pulling near the bridge so you don't aggro the surrounding waves. Less chances you guys dying, especially when you can actually lose crystals in this phase. And also the birds surrounding it can also CC you and make you die. So definitely just pull them next to the bridge and bam bam will pow. So there is a mechanic to this boss or elite when he goes into immune form, or when he does the AoE or about to do the AoE pulse attack. A couple of members should go and pull out their matchlocks and shoot the core in the back 3, I think maybe that's enough, or 5 times, and he goes down and takes way more damage, and you can kill him way easier than that. Tip number 7, technically a tip number 6 as well, or connected to it, to the boss. This is probably not worth mentioning because it might be fixed already by the time you're watching, but it's about the double axe guy, the Krahtenn guy. Even after the second time you defeat him and you don't obtain the loot, or one of your party members didn't obtain the loot, that's what happened to my party. For those who did obtain the loot, they just check in their pet so he can loot it after 2 minutes, and that way he can obtain it without needing to defeat 3-4 more bosses. So it's just a quick little cheeky way how to at least help out your party members so you can move on with your life. Tip number 8, during the next phase, which is the 4 towers pointing at the ball summon stage, you kill all the ads and then another ad spawns and kill all the ads again. If you're lacking in damage, there are going to be 3 towers surrounding the little ball thing and the boss in the area. There's going to be a stage where the boss will emit a light. That's why you also need the effect Opacity on, by the way. Keep that definitely on, very useful. So the boss will emit a light, red, blue, or whatever other color is. Then whenever boss is, let's say he goes red, then you go kill the red tower. The boss will go limp and you can deal way more damage to him. So tip number 9, this is the most important one because this is the main boss mechanics, and hopefully I will not forget anything. If I did, people will yell at me in the comments, and you can read the comments down below for better tips or something that I messed up. Hopefully I didn't. This is all the main boss mechanics, tips, and trick strategy me and my group use during the normal and Elvian boss skills. It's called the 2-1-2. 2 people is on the small guy, and the middle guy is on the ants, and the other 2 is on the T-Rex. 2-1-2. So most important job goes to the ad guy, because if he doesn't aggro the mobs correctly, or he misses one aggro, the ads will go to the boss and heal the boss. So he must aggro the ads. Then he goes to kill one of the 3 towers, which will then spawn the circles in the area, and he needs to pull those ads to the circle. Also, if the circles are too far, kill another tower for better RNG circle spawns. Pull the ads to the closest circle, kill them while they are in the circle and the circle is active. They will take way more damage while they're in there, and that will lead to the bosses taking 10 times the damage that they were taking before. So your job is a must, and you have to be as quick as possible. Sometimes it's worth mentioning that people have 2 or 3 people on the ads, as because they're so important. Now about the rest of the group, aka on the bosses. Pull them at the same time and keep them separate. If you do not keep them separate, they will do AoE damage attack, which will do a huge amount of AoE damage attacks. Also, if they haven't fixed this as well, strikers don't use crouching wolf attack, which will pull the second boss to you, although you're in a corner nowhere near his aggro range. Objective of the bosses is bring them at the same time to 50% of their HP. Once they reach 50%, they go stiff, they do not move, and wait for the other one to reach also 50% for like 5 seconds or so. So a little tip, if your boss went down to the 50%, do not stand and just wait until they finish. Go and rush and help them in those 5 seconds to rush him down, and maybe you can trigger the effect. Once both of them they reach 50%, the 3 towers in the back where the ad guy is killing and all the ads will disappear, and they will slowly start walking to the center to fuse. That is why it's very important for both of the teams to communicate. Okay, we move on to the next stage when they combine. So this is where the light effect or the color of the towers will begin. He will spawn lights all over the map, and you will need to bring the correct color to the right tower. If I'm not mistaken, you need to bring only 3. It might be due to the normal server or Elvia server, I'm not sure. But once you reach all the colors needed for the tower, it goes blank and it pulses, and it doesn't have a color anymore. So little tip, for those who are struggling to do this phase, which is very important phase, then whoever at the very beginning has the aggro to the T-Rex or the boss, push him to the corner, any corner, and keep him there. General tips if you're still struggling with this phase: run clockwise so you don't steal the lights from others. And if you do touch someone, run with him. Do not change the directions. You're now stuck with this person so you don't cuck the rest of your group. Also, do not use abilities for speed. It's most likely gonna de-aggro the light, but sometimes it doesn't, so sometimes use them, sometimes don't. It's still kind of wonky mechanic. Once you've done them correctly, boss becomes CC'd and takes way more damage. After he gets up, rush to the middle where the 2 ads will spawn with the shields. So you know what to do if you were listening before. Burst them down and focus one by one. Get one down, don't focus both at the same time. Even if the second light stage began or the color stage began, finish off the ads so you have an easier time maneuvering all around the map for the second part. So now we go to the stage 3, which is technically the lava stage and only begins in Elvia server, because in normal server we didn't encounter it. Definitely I assume you wouldn't encounter that in Tuvala one or the seasonal one. Keep the boss in the corner, continue the DPS until he starts to spawn lava, then rush to the other corner out of the lava range. Be careful because lava range definitely is longer than it looks like. On the final attempt, we actually had to split the arena to 9 pieces, which actually helped, and at the end we actually defeated the boss, so it helped a lot to split the arena not into 6 pieces, but into 9. And now, tip number 10, I would recommend massively, before you even enter the last stage of the boss, switch to a proper, non-laggy server. Because the lights will not follow you, although you were literally on top of them, and that will completely ruin the boss run. That happened to me the one day when we literally spent hours and hours in the server trying to figure out the light mechanic. Maybe we did something wrong, maybe it's the dashes, maybe just trying to figure out, when in reality it was just a server issue, and hopefully they will fix this as well. So yeah, those are my all 10 tips how to defeat the Atoraxxion Dungeon in the normal Elvian server. I'm not sure how to do it in seasonal. From what I saw, is just pure DPS check, and you don't need to think or anything. You just go pew pew, and there isn't much to it. So if you are still lacking in seasonal server, get more gear, get more foods, elixirs, or put on your gear. Don't be AFK, and you should be able to do it without a problem. Hopefully this video helps. In conclusion, I'd say the dungeon is very satisfying. I learned a lot. I did get frustrated at some times due to the issues, but they are fixable, and it's okay. I expected this. It's a nice piece of content. It's not going to replace the game or change the game in many ways, but it's nice. I liked it. I learned stuff, and I had fun. Enjoy. This was me, MrRapolas. I don't know why did I say it like that. Have a nice one. See you on stream, see you on Discord, and see you in the next YouTube video. Hopefully, I didn't forget anything.